The next few days came by in a blur. Footsteps moved throughout the halls outside my bedroom, blurred by walls and closed doors a few feet behind me. I walked away from my wardrobe, carrying some light attire for later. The sun pokes past the open curtains, gleaming into the floor and casting the room in light. The open suitcase lays idly on my bed, many other outfits as ready and waiting inside as I approach, half folding the dress and shoving it in with the others. The maids have practically raided my room earlier today, preparing and dressing me, and this dress isn't too thick for the beautiful weather. Plus, I should just be sitting in a carriage half the time. But I kept the dress and everything else on, now packing my suitcase with easier things to wear. With a short glance at the window, I tossed the clothing in, and a knock came by my door, causing me to tilt my head up from my suitcase. "Come in," I called out, being sure to pat down my attire before the door is quietly pushed open. A girl stands there, eyes casting over me as she bows. "My lady, the carriage is ready," the servant states, her head nodding respectfully to me and earning a dismissal nod in return. "All right, I'll be right out," I reply, soon turning away and hearing the door click shut. She probably went off to confirm with the head maid that she had passed the information needed. I cast a quick glance around my room, being sure to take into account anything else I needed on this trip before pulling to the top of the case shut. After clicking the locks together to keep it closed, I grabbed the handle, pulling the suitcase to my side, and walked over to the door. My free hand pulls it open, and I'm not paying too much attention to the door behind me, and when I turn back to walk down the hallway, I am met with multiple maids. "Dang it," I internally sigh, stepping past them and making my way down the hall with the female servants in tow, following my footsteps with some sort of delay to stand behind me. We venture through the other few halls, my eyes glancing over the familiar engravings with flowers on display one last time. And as I grew closer to the entrance of the castle, I catch a sight of a split staircase up ahead, tilting my head to look over my shoulder at the multitude of maids trailing me. I sighed, knowing I wouldn't be able to slide down the rail with their lingering eyes on me. So instead, I continued to trot forward, listening to the bustle from all of them around as I reached and ran up my hand along the polished wood. As I stepped down each step, the sun peeks through the windows as I pass, leaving trickles of warmth in its trail, while my eyes fixated on the level below, soon lifting to the large oak doors as well. Once the bottom of my shoe taps against the cold floor at the bottom, my hand returns to my side, fingers suddenly pinching at the top of my skirt of my dress as to make sure to gape up the door. Looking back, I turn to look over the many servants going about with their preparations, soon looking up to the staircase opposite from the one I had just descended from. The Duke, my father, stands atop of it all, looking over everything before he's fixated on me. With a small nod and a wave, I step back, before bidding farewell to my maids and exiting the castle, where they do not follow. It's easy to find my carriage, right near the doors. As I approach, I catch sight of a familiar common soldiers assigned to me. Well, 2 of them at least. I don't know where the black-haired one went, but that leaves the yellow and red ones left, lingering near the carriage while chatting away. Or, of course, their voices grow silent as I near, 2 sets of eyes casting up to me before my step aside, shifting at my ready. So I pass, lifting my free hand to open the door, but nearly jumped out of my skin as the blonde suddenly stepped forward. "Hey, let me get your luggage for you," he beams, holding out his hand for the item. I paused, taking a second before smiling and handing in my suitcase. In return, he backed off and walked to go and put it in the storage part of the carriage. "Oh, wait," I called, stepping a little past the second soldier, still standing idle to talk with the other. "Just put it on the floor there," I commanded lightly, gesturing towards the carriage. My words gain a nod and apologetic look in return before he disappears on the opposite side of the carriage, probably using the door on the other side to put the suitcase in. He most likely did this to avoid having to get in my way so I don't question his actions, instead turning to reach up for the door handle. And that's when the second soldier finally chooses to move, or speaks up. "Here, let me get that for you, my lady," the redhead states, reaching up with ease since he was closer to the carriage, and pulling the door open for me. "Oh, all right," I blink, sending a smile his way before grabbing the front of my dress to lift and step up onto the steps of the carriage. Once more, I'm confused when he clears his throat, holding one of his free hands out for me. "I don't want you to accidentally fall now," he jokingly lights. "Right." I agree, a small chuckle escaping my lips as I lift my free hand to meet his, cascaded palms clasping gently with mine, while I let him help me up into the carriage. After making sure my dress wouldn't be caught, he closes the door behind me, and I sit down. I glance out the window and wave at him slightly. His head tilts up, his smile lifting his features and putting sharp and pointed teeth out on display for me. How did I not notice those before? "Are you comfortable, my lady?" he calls out, and I glance back, seeing my suitcase sitting idly near the other side of the carriage before turning back to him and nodding. "Yes, I am, soldier," I confirm, eyes staying locked with his as he nodded. "That's good. Just let me know if you need anything." "Hey, hurry up. Stop lingering around. We need to get moving," a voice calls out a little far away. And the soldier below seems to alert, turning just as the blonde one comes with a black-haired one in tow, as he and his horses at the ready while the black-haired one holds the reins of two different ones, all three saddled up and ready to go. "Thanks, Sarah." The redhead beams, rushing forward while the black one, Sarah, hands his comrade the reins before turning to the one at his left hand and climbs up. The bustle outside seems to slow as people move out of the way, clearing to get out of the road while others rush to get their respective carriages. And I sit back in my cushioned seat as a crimson-haired soldier hoists himself onto his horse, ready to start the journey. After one last sweep and check and make sure everything was ready in the carts lined up behind my carriage, the commander sounds off, starting their departure. With a short, barely noticeable jolt, I look out the window again to see that we are now moving. The horse of the soldiers guarding this side of the carriage snorts loudly, hooves snapping thickly against the dirt path leading up to the castle. The pace is slow, giving me a time to take in the gardens, inner walls, and anything outside of the carriage one last time before I turn, giddily shooting to the opposite side of the carriage when we start turning. And I can't help the excitement building up in my chest at the walls surrounding the castle growing closer and closer. When I tilt my head a little, being near the window, I catch sight of the gate, its thick wood being pulled open with a metallic sound of chains clanking in the sides where oak meets stone. We grow near when it fully opens, making way for me and everyone else on the trip as we ride through, the shadow painting over my carriage with my eyes following each arch above for a little. The sky comes back into view quickly, tearing my gaze away from the gate and towards the outside of the wall, the outside of the castle. The village bustles on, everyone going about their daily duties but moving off to the side for us. Since my window was cracked open a bit, I could hear everyone going on, from the livestock mewing away to the gossip words passing throughout the townsfolk. Most of it was drowned by the constant clicking of hooves and rumbling of wood tires rolling against the dirt path, thankfully, but every now and then I would catch my name in the mix of it. Some or most stares while we passed, my head pulling away from the glass to hide myself a bit from peering eyes. As we continued forward, I took little peeks past the curtains hanging at the sides of my window, soon making out the rim of the village that was lined with a short valley, the large patch of green that stretched out across, connecting the forest up ahead, and within a few moments, what felt like mere seconds. The carriage launched as we bumped into new territory, soon being caked in shadow and leaves above when we passed beneath them. The forest is still well lit by the sun poking through the openings in the trees and lightening up the path ahead, and the carriage suddenly lurches, one of the horses pulling me riling up with an audible below, and the cushioned seat below bumps slightly as we pick up pace, soon growing into a steady trot with the trees passed by to show me how fast we were going. I feel a little small jolt every now and then, most likely caused by the rocks we ran over and the steady pace. And that's when I finally relax, slumping against my seat with a sigh and relief, knowing that no one was there to look at me now. And after what I was done basking in suddenly weighed off my shoulders, I stood up, which is probably something I shouldn't do for obvious safety reasons, of course. But thankfully the carriage doesn't jolt as I step across to untie the small ropes hiding the curtains on the window open. Without the golden color rope holding it, the curtains fall close, cuffing the sides with darkness. And I do on the other side before moving in and closing the last two ones, also pulling and locking the window shut to push out most of the noises going outside. Once everything was dark, I lit a lamp hanging near the door on both sides, brushing back the shadows with light as I crouched to open up my suitcase. No one knew I was preparing this, and for good reason, as I pulled out a new attire waiting inside. With little struggle, I was able to get free of the stuffy dress that the maids had put me in, hopping into the dress up since I was going out. I'm not saying I'm not grateful of the effort. I just know I wouldn't be able to last in this overly layered thing. Plus, I would just be in this carriage most of the time anyways. Might as well be comfortable, I muttered to no one in particular, pulling free of the new dress from my suitcase before setting it in, decided to kick the case close again and slide it across the cushioned bench across the carriage. Time skip. The trees passed by seemed to slow, and I think that it's my mind playing tricks on me, until they come to a complete stop and a muffled shout calls from the window. I had dozed off, just now waking up a few minutes ago to idly stare out the window with the curtains tied back because I didn't bother tying all the others. Just this one. And though this one I see one of the soldiers assigned to emerge from the back of the carriage, brows furrowed as he called out for the men near the front. He gets another shout back in return before nodding, red eyes casting up to the sky before a moment. He tugs on his reins, edging his horse off the side before tying it to a tree. Then he returns, growing closer to the carriage as I unhook the lock of the window, pushing it open to poke at my head. "Why did we stop, soldier?" I questioned, causing the redhead to jump from my sudden voice and glance up to the window. "My lady," he shudders, clearing his throat before straightening his posture to speak with me. "I was just about to tell you we're setting up camp for the night," he informs, and I take a second to glance up at the sky, now noticing how dark it had actually grown. Some sun still peeked out from the trees, out of my sight, but casting a glow of orange and red throughout the sky. All right, I muttered to myself. And what should I do? I wonder, much louder, returning my gaze to the man waiting below. "Please stay in the carriage. We'll set up your tent in no time," he promises, showing off those sharp teeth in his grin before clearing his throat again and hurriedly adding, "My lady," to the end of a sentence. "I bet you will. Thank you, soldier." I chuckled towards his little hiccup, moving to lean back and close the window while his eyes wide in shock. "Let me know when it's ready," I call before closing and locking the window back into its place, leaving the sharp-toothed redhead to get yelled at for lingering again. This poor boy can't even get a break. I laughed to myself. Hey guys, I know you've been wondering probably where I've been. There had been a community post, but the reason why I've been gone for so long, it's not really a good reason, but at the same time it is a good reason. But as some may know, I play tennis every year during fall, And how do I say this? Well, during one of my games, I got hit in the face with a tennis ball, full force. Though I'm actually really super duper glad because, well, half not and half yes, but that when I went to the doctor's the next day, because it had been nighttime when technically all, like, it was just like simple doctors that were open, and I did not want to do that because of how tired I was. But my doctor said that they are thankful that I have glasses, because if I didn't have glasses and the tennis ball had hit me like it did, I would have lost complete eyesight in that eye for a little bit. Not like forever, but all I got with my glasses is just a scar, which caused some things blurry, which is why I didn't want to read, because I didn't want to have to be like, what? Yeah. But, I just need to stop rambling. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I love you all so much. Bye. Mwah.